Hey everyone, it's me Lone, hope you're doing alright. So as you know, there's not much news going around for Starfield at the moment, so what I thought would be fun would be to make a video where I provide my official prediction for the release date of this game next year. We know that the game is coming out sometime in the first half of 2023, but aside from that, Bethesda has been fairly vague when it comes to the release date of this game, so I'm going to be using as much evidence as I possibly can to provide what I believe to be a fairly solid prediction for the release date of this game. I hope you enjoy it, but before we get into it, I do have some exciting news to share. I actually have my very first sponsor on this channel ever, and it's for a company that I've personally been using for years, so I'm very excited about that. And because they are my very first sponsor and they've trusted me with this, I'm going to have to do them right. So check this out. Hi, my name is Lone. You know, cooking yourself fresh, delicious meals can get difficult sometimes, and heading to the grocery store is, well, often annoying. This is why we, in the Lone household, have been using HelloFresh for years. HelloFresh is a meal delivery service that has a huge range of delicious recipes week to week. The ingredients are high quality, the produce fresh, and it's so easy to follow the step-by-step recipes to cook amazing meals. I'm not much of a cook myself, but HelloFresh makes it seem like I am, and that's what counts. HelloFresh delivers the ingredients directly to you, so you're saving time, money, and a lot of stress. You can update your delivery address at any time, even when you're out of town, and their plans are super flexible. Importantly, HelloFresh helps you meet your goals, whether it's sticking with vegetarian options or, like myself, eating calorie-smart foods to assist with your fitness aspirations. HelloFresh is the meal delivery service for you. I, for one, would feel completely lost without HelloFresh, and that's why I'm ecstatic to support them in today's video. Use my link or go to hellofresh.com and use code POGLVW July 16 for 16 free meals across 7 boxes plus 3 free gifts. Once you click, my description will actually live update to count up the purchases too. Gifts include free appetizers, free desserts, and free premium recipes. It means a lot that they are my very first channel sponsor, so please support them and myself by heading to the link in the description. I'd really appreciate it. Now, back to the video. Alrighty, so let's get started. When do I believe Starfield is going to be releasing next year? I've got my notes to the right of me that I'll be referring to throughout this video, so I don't miss out on anything. And let's begin with the initial release date of Starfield, which of course was the 11th of November 2022. We know that this was, when Bethesda Game Studios wanted to release Starfield initially, but as we know, the release date was delayed. The game was delayed. In their tweet, they said very vaguely that both Redfall, by the way, because this came from Bethesda, both Redfall and Starfield were going to be delayed to the first half of 2023. And let's keep in mind what they said there. The first half of 2023. They were intentionally very vague when it came to that release window. They could have said Q1 if they believed the game was coming out in Q1, but they didn't say that. They could have said Q2, but they didn't say Q2. They said the first half of 2023. So they're trying to essentially buy themselves as much time as they can. So if we go by that, the game could come out anywhere from the start of January right until the end of June. So that's our initial release window. So let's work with that. Then we have the Xbox Bethesda showcase, which took place on the 12th of June, right? And in that showcase, Xbox stated specifically, I believe it was Sarah Bond, that everything in the showcase was going to be targeted for launch anyways, within the next 12 months of the showcase, which technically, of course, would include Starfield. It was part of this show. And if we take that strictly to heart, that would mean that the maximum release date for everything in that show, including Starfield, would be June 12, 2023. Now, keep in mind, plans can change, okay? We literally just talked about Starfield initially slated for release on 11 November 2022 being delayed until the next year. So even though Xbox said that in that showcase, things could also change. And keep in mind, in the actual gameplay reveal for Starfield, the end slate, which showed the date for the release date of Starfield, all it said was coming 2023. It didn't actually say the first half of 2023 in that trailer. So I'm not saying that it's definitely going to be delayed again and pushed back beyond that 12-month point, right? But there is a small possibility things can change, plans can change, just keep that in mind. But for this video, for the purposes of this video, I'm going to be trusting Xbox's statement on this point, that Starfield is going to be releasing at least up until June 12, 2023. So where do we go from here? Let's take a look at Bethesda Game Studios' history when it comes to releasing major games. We are not going to be looking at mobile games like, Blades and Shelter, etc., because those are definitely exceptions. Let's look at their major titles in their history. And typically, especially for recent games, BGS don't tend to release games in the first half of the year. Their older titles definitely fall in that release window, but recently, when we talk about titles like Fallout 4, Fallout 76, etc., those tend to be released in the latter half of a year, and typically in November. November has, of course, become, BGS's main release window or release month when it comes to their games. But yes, previously, some of their games actually came out in the first half of the year. So when we talk about Morrowind came out on the 1st of May on PC and the 6th of June on Xbox in 2002, right? The 1st of May was a Wednesday and the 6th of June was a Thursday, right? And then we look at Oblivion. Oblivion released on PC and Xbox on the 20th of March 2006, which was a Monday, and then a year later for PS3 on the 19th of March 2007, which was a Monday. And then we look at Fallout 3. Fallout 3, this is when we start to go into the latter half of the year when it comes to BGS's releases. Fallout 3 released on the 28th of October 2008, which was a Tuesday. Then Skyrim released on the 11th of November 2011, which was a Friday. Then Fallout 4 released on the 10th of November 2015, which was a Tuesday. And finally, Fallout 76 released on the 14th of November 2018, which was a Wednesday. So as you can see, literally their last 3 releases, and almost Fallout 3, but their last 3 releases were all in November, okay? And I very intentionally mentioned the days that those games were released. So to summarize, we have Wednesday, Thursday, Monday, Tuesday, Friday, Tuesday, and a Wednesday. So at the very least, we know that it has to be a weekday. We know that generally in the games industry, games typically come out on a weekday from Monday to Friday, but just want to reinforce that fact. It's not going to be a weekend. It is almost certainly going to be on a weekday just for that reason. So let's keep all of that in mind. And then one more thing, okay? We know that Todd picked the 11 November 2022 date initially for a reason, right? The main reason was that the date format turned out to be 11/11. That makes it so much easier in the marketing and publishing world when you have a release date that follows the same date format, no matter whether you're in the US or elsewhere in the world, right? Because it's obviously day month / month day, when you switch between those two areas of the world. It is mostly the US and then versus everyone else in the world, but you know what I mean. So when you pick a release date that's like 11 November or 11/11, it just makes it easier when it comes to making trailers for your game. You don't have to constantly swap the release date and make sure it's correct. Ratings still have to change, but at the very least, you can stick with 11/11 across all of your trailers and all your marketing material. And because of that, it makes it much a cleaner of a communication from Bethesda and Bethesda Game Studios and even Xbox's side. They can just constantly say it's 11/11, 11/11, 11/11, and you don't have to say, oh, it's technically 11/12 here, or you know what I mean? Like there's none of that stuff. So 11/11, that's why they picked that. Very clean, very easy day to work with. So if they want to do that again, all right, and we're still sticking to the first half of 2023, here are the possible release dates that they could adopt. 1st of January, 2nd of Feb, 3rd of March, 4th of April, 5th of May, and 6th of June, right? Because that would be 1/1, 2/2, 3/3, 4/4, 5/5, 6/6, right? All in 2023, of course. Now, I want to tell you what the actual days for those particular release dates are and tell you why 1st of January wouldn't work, because that's actually a Sunday. So we can rule that out, and I can pretty sure that they're not going to be releasing Starfield in January. I don't think that's going to happen. But when it comes to 2nd of February 2023, it's possible because that's a Thursday. 3rd of March is a Friday. 4th of April is a Tuesday. 5th of May is a Friday, and 6th of June is a Tuesday. So they're all weekday release days, so they could all possibly be viable when it comes to Starfield's new release date. But let's go into it a little bit further. I personally, and this is not based on information that I know nothing now. Personally, I don't think Starfield's going to be releasing in Q1. I don't believe it's going to be January, February, or March. Because I don't see Bethesda delaying a game just for a couple of months from November to just be releasing in February or March, since we've already ruled out January. Like, this delay to the release date is costing them millions and millions of dollars, and they've done it for a reason. They've done it because they want to get the game right at launch. So do they need just a couple of months? No, I think they need a little bit more than that, right? But also as well, when they could have said Q1. If it was going to be Q1, they would have said Q1. But because they said the first half of 2023, as I said, I believe they were being intentionally vague to give themselves as much time in development as possible, right? Just in case they needed right up until June, they said the first half of 2023, to say, you know what, no, we didn't lie to you. We were vague, but we didn't lie to you. And now we can release the game in June and we didn't lie to our consumers. So I reckon they've done that for that reason. So if they were intent on releasing in Q1, as I said, they would have said that. But because they said, first half of 2023, I actually think it's more likely that it's going to be coming out sometime in Q2. So technically there, we're talking about April, May, or June. So we're constantly eliminating things. So that's why I'm leaning towards Q2. So is it April, is it May, or is it June? Which one could it possibly be? BGS have never really had a major game release in April, right? Never. If you actually look at their major games, nothing has really come out in April. Plus, as a wider publisher, Bethesda don't also typically release full games on or in April. DLC are an exception to that, but full games typically from them have never released in April for whatever reason. The one major exception is The Elder Scrolls Online, which was in 2014, that actually did release in April. But everything else aside from DLC hasn't really come out in April. So for that reason alone, I think we can rule out April. And again, it's a little bit earlier, so I think Bethesda Game Studios wants to give themselves as much time as possible. So I genuinely believe it's either going to be May or it's going to be June. So let's start with May. May is a massive release date when it comes to, or a massive release month when it comes to Bethesda as a wider publisher. Doom 2 was released in May, as was Brink, Wolfenstein: The New Order, Wolfenstein: The Old Blood, Doom, Prey, and Rage 2, all released in May, right? But keep in mind, none of them are Bethesda Game Studios games. They were, Arcane or id Software. None of them are BGS games. So that's something to point out. And Bethesda still have a game called Redfall. If you remember, it was part of the release date delay announcement alongside Starfield. But they have a game called Redfall, which they also said will be coming out in the first half of 2023. And I think that's actually going to be a title that releases in May. I think if they released Starfield before Redfall, it would completely cannibalize the audience, the Bethesda, fan base anyways, when it comes to them potentially playing Redfall if they release Starfield first. So I think they're going to go the other way around. I think they're going to give Redfall as much chance to succeed as possible by releasing it before Starfield, because Bethesda knows when Starfield comes out, everyone's going to be playing that game or at least giving it a go. So for that reason, I think Redfall is actually going to be coming out in May, or is more likely to come out in May. So this leaves June, okay? Now, Oblivion technically saw release dates in both May and June because it was split platform. So yes, the 5th of May release date in 2023, which is a Friday, Bethesda Game Studios has in their past released a game on a Friday, which was Skyrim, which is one of their massive titles. So I'm not going to completely rule out 5th of May. I still think it's a possibility. It's still a weekday. They've used that month in the past. It's, et cetera, et cetera. However, the 6th of June release date, 2023, is a Tuesday. And traditionally, in the video games industry, especially in the US, and in fact, the wider physical media industry in the US, so we're talking CDs, music, etc., DVDs and whatever, Tuesday has typically been used a lot to release physical media releases, right? And certainly that's true in the video games industry, typically, especially back in the day. And yes, that is a traditional model. It actually dates back to something called Sonic Tuesday. Look it up. There's a great article on, I think, Business Insider about it. But yes, it's a traditional day that's been used in the video games industry. Just for that reason, I think we do need to take stock of that 6th of June release date, right? Doesn't matter as much nowadays, especially because Starfield is a digital release as well as are, most games nowadays. Of course not, especially because it's releasing on Game Pass day one. So we're going to be able to download it digitally for such a cheap price. So yes, the Tuesday release date doesn't matter as much anymore, but still, it's hard to break history for a reason. It's hard to break tradition, and Starfield is still being released in stores. And when it comes to distribution, it's a little bit easier for a game to release on a Tuesday, because if you release a game on a Friday, and for whatever reason, shipping is delayed, stores don't get the game in time, something goes wrong, something happens, then a store actually misses out on their weekend sales, or there's a chance they might miss out on those crucial weekend sales. Whereas if you release a game on a Tuesday, you're building in a little bit of a buffer for that week and for the weekend. So it's a tradition, but yes, there are good reasons for it, especially when it comes to the physical distribution side. So because of that, and because as well that Bethesda Game Studios has also utilized a Tuesday release date twice for Fallout 3 and for Fallout 4, I do believe that that is the more solid prediction for the release date of Starfield. So let's summarize. Because of all of that, and I'm running out of my voice right now, but because of all of that, I believe that the release date of Starfield is going to be on Tuesday, 6th of June, 2023, or 6/6/2023. I think that sounds clean. I think it gets around the whole date format thing that I mentioned before. It's on a Tuesday, arguably the most popular day to release video games. Again, because of tradition, but it's still there. And it's a date, it's a month that Bethesda's used before. It's a day, specifically Tuesday, that Bethesda Game Studios has used before. So I think it's a fairly solid prediction, all right? Let me know what you think in the comments below. Do you believe 6th of June, 2023 is going to be when Starfield releases, or do you have another crazy theory in mind? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, Wastelanders. And until next time, this has been Lone. Please take care of yourselves, and would you kindly keep fighting the good fight.